Well, good day and greetings, all happy warriors. And thank you for being part of this section of the show. Every now and then, something I really enjoy doing is meeting a happy warrior. And so from time to time, I reach out, or sometimes happy warriors reach out to me, and they make themselves available for a conversation and a get to know you session. And so today, now, I want to welcome Renat Buga, who is really a very, very interesting person. And if you're a happy warrior, you are going to hear more about some of his work in the next couple of weeks because he is putting the finishing touches to something that'll be available to members of our Happy Warrior community that I don't think, I'm not aware of it happening anywhere else. I'll just give you a clue and tell you that it has to do with artificial intelligence, or what we in the know call large language model technology. Is that right, Renat?
That's right. It has different names, AI, GPT. For more techies, use the name you just pronounced. Thank you, Rabbi Daniel, for such a wonderful introduction. Happy to be a guest, my privilege at your podcast.
Okay, well, I never say a typical happy warrior because there is no such thing. Each happy warrior is stunningly, brilliantly, and beautifully unique and different. I don't think you can say very unique because unique is like pregnant. You either are or you're not. Well, you're unique. And so we're going to start off by getting to know just a little bit about your background. Where does Renat's story begin?
Right. Well, it begins in Moldova. This is where I was born to family of a Moldovan, my father, and my mother of Bulgarian descent. So coming from a mixed blood, Bulgarian, Moldovan, being born there, lived there a good part of my life, and then went into growing spiritually and materially in more Western world. And this is where I landed past 3 years in Germany. This is where I live now.
Where did you go to school and what did you study?
Well, I went to a general school, but then back in my town from the southeastern part of Moldova. After that, I moved to the capital, Chisinau, where I studied international economic relations. And on my last year of study, I went into entrepreneurship. And this is where things about internet, at least in Moldova, they became, they started to grow. So there was still limited availability of internet, and you had to stay in the line to wait for your turn in special classes equipped with computers connected to internet. So I was very excited about technology. And then in my last year of studies, I started my first venture, which was a web design studio, knowing little about how to build websites, but ventured into this and ran it for 5 years while I was still in Moldova before moving to Lithuania.
And now, so how old were you when you moved to Lithuania?
That was
approximately
29, around 29, yes.
And were you married already?
No, I stayed there almost a decade. And like around 9 years later, I met my wife, a Lithuanian, and there I married her. That was back 6 years ago.
And how did you meet?
We meet as many people of my age do these days. It was on an online website dedicated to serious people signing up there for serious intentions. So I was there for quite a few years. My wife-to-be joined it just a couple of weeks before we met, and then soon after we met, she deleted her profile and continued the relationship just with me.
So you spotted her. Is that what happened? And you reached out to her on the website?
Yes, I did. And that's the right thing to do, as you teach us. Man should be the one taking the lead. Of course, she was popular and I was getting lots of requests, but I tried to be more persistent to get that date, though we decided to not call them dates. but a courtship.
Excellent. So by that time, you were already a diligent, happy warrior.
Exactly. I've been following you for a couple of years before that, and that changed substantially my perspective on relationships between men and women, and not only, generally all relationships related to 4 Fs of life. Back then there were 4.
Yes, that's right.
Later was the 5th introduced.
You're exactly right.
So, and I was listening actively your podcasts, all your audio courses, a few books. So yeah, and that changed my perspective on how to build relationships, and generally went into more digging into Jewish wisdom about, as particular about men and women relationships, because this is where I wanted to succeed, to finally establish my family. So that helped tremendously. And I think that probably stays at the foundation of our relationship. And I'm happy the way we started and the way we continue. So a lot thanks to the knowledge that we took from you.
Susan, come in. I wanted to have a chance to say hello.
Hi.
Mrs. Susan, happy to see you again.
Yes, same here. And I'm so eager to hear what. Well, I know you're going to you're doing an interview.
We are in the middle of an interview, and you've joined in. Yeah, you're
well,
in.
hello everybody. Happy Warriors. All right.
Thank you.
I'll
Finally.
get back to it.
All right, great.
Okay, bye.
All right, nice to see you. Everything went well.
Yeah.
So you meet, and you're obviously very like-minded. You both are serious. You're not dating. You're courting, and obviously there are shared values.
Yes, though my wife wasn't into Judaism, but she was in a transitional spiritual journey of her life, seeking a source of truth. And when we met first time, and we discussed serious stuff, because that's how I wanted to be, and then offered her that during our courtship we meet just with the sole purpose to see if we are fit as a husband and wife. So I told her about my interest in Judaism, about all the wisdom that I have been learning all these years, in particular about man-woman relationships, about marriage, about parenting. And she was very much interested in this. She was learning, getting her knowledge from a different source, but she saw a lot of much in the values, and then she liked it. She easily adopted it, and well, this is how we choose. Soon after that, we choose to dig more into this. She more and more started to like the Jewish wisdom, in particular when it comes to family life.
Family, yeah, right.
Yes, and there you go. Our wedding was officiated by a rabbi. So
really,
yes, by an Orthodox rabbi.
In the city of Vilna?
No, we married in a town. It's in the middle of the country, Anixchi, it's called. But yeah, we came all the way from Jerusalem to officiate our wedding.
That is beautiful. I wonder if I know who I know. I wonder if I know him.
Rabbi Chaim Golder from Noahide World Center from Jerusalem.
Never met him, but that's beautiful. So he came to Lithuania for you and Veda's wedding.
Yes, well, he was delivering a course, but he combined the day of that course with our wedding, so we were planning in advance.
I'm jealous of him, Renat, to have a role in the beginning of such a beautiful family, which is, you have now a beautiful little 2-year-old girl.
Exactly.
And you are expecting, as we say in Hebrew, b'sha'at tova, at a good hour, at a special, blessed hour, you'll be having another child adding to your family soon. Was Veda's parents living in Lithuania at the time?
Yeah, and they still live there in Lithuania.
And what was meeting them like for the first time?
Well, it was wonderful, but the thing is that I set my mindset that I am meeting my very lucky Likud, my future parents. So as Jewish wisdom teaches, is that love is a choice. So you set your mind to love. So and yes, love not in terms of like romantic love, but love in terms like respect and accept people the way they are, and all these things. Like you choose to love your family members, right? Even if you don't go along with them. So it wasn't the case.
You've been a wonderful disciple. I love hearing these truths come back through your mouth.
I'm glad. So that was my intention. When I went married, I said, that's my family. I set my mind to love them and to do everything possible to establish and strengthen that relationship as my family members.
So you got married in Lithuania, and by this time you'd been living there for, was it about 6 years?
No, we lived there a couple of years, and then we decided to move to Western Europe. We're planning even before we married to try the life in Western Europe, and we're considering a few countries. And we landed in Germany, where I found a job.
And your job is in technology?
Yeah, in tech, I work as an IT product manager.
That's great. And moving from Lithuania to Germany, and are you in Berlin, in the big city?
No, we are in the southern part of the country, not far from Heidelberg, 2 hours away north.
Bavaria area?
No, that's Baden-Württemberg. That's in the western south.
And was it easy to move because of European Union structures?
Yeah, in terms of getting residency, that's pretty easy. Work permit not needed. Just get a job. All easy. Question from cultural perspective, whether was it easy or not, I think it was and still pretty easy. Germans are pretty accustomed to foreigners. There are lots of them, lots of immigrants here of different cultures. They are very acceptable, and it's been already more than 3 years, and we feel pretty comfortable, welcomed here. I feel at work, but also daily life, interacting with people.
Renat, could you identify a couple of main differences? Like, what did you, Innovator, find most interesting, most challenging in the differences between living in Lithuania and living in Germany?
Well, Lithuania, though today, is very much Western focused, especially the younger generations. They look West, try to think West, were influenced by the Western media. Nevertheless, you still feel that Soviet heritage, because that it was part of Soviet Union up until beginning of 90s, where it was split. And though it took the vector looking towards West, you still have, especially the older generations, but then you get this reflected in people's mindsets, in even in architecture, in daily life. There is still that heritage, which was quite familiar to me because I'm coming also from a post-Soviet country. So that's actually was the reason why I choose first Lithuania, which was like a mix in between EU and something which I was familiar with. So here it's a pure Western mindset, and you notice these differences in everyday in everyday life. That's probably the biggest difference.
The school, your daughter's too young for school still.
Oh, yes. She's about to get 2 years old.
Yeah, right. Of course. So that's nothing you have to worry about yet. And your spiritual and faith life in Germany, what are you finding?
Well, as we follow, observe Judaism, we are Noahide. So
you were raised as a Christian or Eastern Christianity. Which is it?
Yes, Eastern Orthodox Christianity.
So you were raised Eastern Orthodox, and your wife?
Catholic. Eastern, yes.
So raised Eastern Orthodox.
It was mild.
Yeah.
Mostly like main holidays and traditions and so forth.
Yeah. Gosh, so you're on a very interesting journey. I'm so fascinated. I really am.
Yes, we are.
I feel humbled and grateful to play a small role in your journey. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, we appreciate really, really much. Thanks to you, and there are a few more rabbis who try to offer the Jewish wisdom to non-Jewish world. So thank God it's getting more and more of such material online. So it's getting more available to the wider public. Yeah, it does influence. And I think, well, I'm pretty sure it influenced the lives of many like us. So coming back to the question about the spiritual life. So as we live with Judaism in our home, but a more simplified version of Judaism. So and not having a community in our town where we live of people who would be Noahides as well, at least we are not aware of. That's a bit challenging. So that's why reinforcing our knowledge from materials that you provide and other sources, it helps us to strengthen that half of our life, faith.
So finance and faith are under control.
I believe so, but 5 Fs. This is a challenge. I mean, that's why you call us happy warriors. It's a fight. So even goes with 2 Fs, keeping them in balance. It's a big fight, but 5 Fs to keep in the balance. It's really challenging. That's why we are warriors. So we need to every day to make efforts, not give up, and with a smile on the face to try to keep everything under control.
No, of course, it's a wonderful challenge. On the family front, obviously, you are building your family just very beautifully, and I'm so proud of you. Are you able to stay in touch with Veda's family and with your family back in Moldova?
Yeah, we do. Thanks to WhatsApp and similar technologies, so I can share almost everything what's happening in our life, like pictures of the child, almost daily video calls. But we also do regular visits both back to Lithuania and to Moldova.
And what's it been like for your wife to make friends in?
It's challenging because we didn't make great efforts to learn the language, and probably that's a Jewish proverb. If you want to speak to someone's heart, talk to him in his language.
That's right.
Yes, that's probably was the main reason that we kind of stayed more in our bubble. Yeah, that's something we consider to fix. Past years, especially like arrival of the child, there wasn't not much time dedicated for working on that aspect.
Yeah, I understand. And you're pretty settled there. You're not looking further for the foreseeable future. You're building your family and your business in Germany.
These are today's plans.
Yes.
We see. We are always open for a better future. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, right. Well, it's been so nice learning a little bit more about you. I mean, we've been in touch. It's been quite a few years already, but this is really the first opportunity to talk a little bit and explore your life as a happy warrior. So please, would you give my warmest regards to Veda? And
Definitely, yes.
to you, Renat. God bless you, and thank you so much for talking to me today. I appreciate it, and look forward to continuing working with you on our exciting new project.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my greatest pleasure.
We'll talk soon again. God bless. Well, greetings, happy warriors, and as I've been promising you, here is an interview, a conversation between two friends, and it's one I've been looking forward to for a long, long time. And my thought was, I'm going to record it because Renat Buga, my guest, currently in West Germany, one of the most interesting people I know, and somebody I've known for quite a few years. And I thought, well, I know it's going to be an interesting conversation. And I'm going to see, we're going to record it. And if it is as interesting as I think it'll be, then I'm going to share it with you. And if you're all seeing it now, well, then you can see that the decision was indeed made to share it with you. But at the time of our recording, it's just a conversation, and I've been looking forward to it amazingly. And Renat, thank you for being available. I know that there's a 6-hour difference, a time difference between us. And so it wasn't that easy to find a convenient time slot.
Thank you, Rabbi, for inviting me. It is my great privilege to be part of your show. I'll try my best. Let's see what comes out of it. But thank you. Really happy to be guest at your show.
Well, thanks for being with us. And here is why. Actually, before I even tell people why, maybe just a little bit of a background. You and your wife, you were living in Lithuania.
Yeah, that's right. I'm originally from Moldova, but I moved to Lithuania where I lived around 10 years, and this is where I met my wife.
In Lithuania, have you been in Estonia?
Yeah, I traveled it quite a bit, including Baltics.
So Latvia and Estonia, you've been
Exactly. Yes.
Were you ever in the city of Riga?
Yeah, that's Latvia. That's capital of Riga.
My father used to vacation there while he was a student in yeshiva, in Bible school.
I didn't know about this, but I know that you have Litvak roots, and this is what makes me a little bit more connected with you.
Oh, yeah, no, I couldn't believe it because Vilna was the town. I think you were in Vilnius.
Yeah, we lived in Vilnius, exactly.
And you know as well as I do that Vilnius, or as we call it, Vilna, for many, many, many years was the Jerusalem of Eastern Europe.
That's right. Or they also call it Northern Jerusalem.
Northern Jerusalem, yeah. So it had a big Jewish population, and more importantly, it had an astonishingly important Jewish population because of the caliber of the rabbis and scholars that lived there. And it may go back even earlier, but I know of the kind of people who lived in Vilna going back to about the 16th century. So Jews lived there and flourished there for a long time, certainly the 1500s, maybe before, all the way until I think it was June 1941 when the Nazis came into Vilna and collected Jews into a synagogue, set fire to some of them. The others they took out to fields. Anyway, don't have to dwell on those terrible times. And that ended hundreds of years of flourishing and successful Jewish life in Lithuania. But yes, so my dad studied in Lithuania. He was born in South Africa, but he went back in his teenage years because he had relatives who were scholars and teachers, and he wanted to spend time studying under them. And so he went to Lithuania. And then during the summers, in those days, nobody flew back for summer vacation back to your home. He was in Lithuania for about 8 years, and there was no going back home. And then came World War II. He escaped out because it was not easy for Jews to get out of Lithuania by the time the Nazis came in. And he went home then and married my mom, and I arrived a couple of years later. While during summer vacations, when the school closed, he and some of his buddies used to go to Riga, which is a seafront town.
It's not far from sea. Jurmala probably is the vacation place. It's next to Riga.
Okay.
But Riga is very close to the sea.
Yeah, he just used to say Riga. What I wanted to ask you is, of these Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and is there another one? Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania?
Three.
Three, yeah. Which one is most technologically advanced?
Well, Estonia has been leading the list, especially with the arrival of Skype. This is what it made the country of 1 million population famous worldwide, and this was their pride for pretty long. But later, other startups like Bolt, I'm not sure if in America they're popular, but in Europe they're very popular with their taxi shared rides.
Yes. Yeah. Bolt ran very successful bus services on the East Coast.
Not sure if it's the same company.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so and also they started to implement various e-government services, which made startups and generally tech-oriented companies to relocate to Estonia. One of the advantages there is just a small country, little over 1 million. It's pretty easy to implement reforms comparing to Lithuania and Latvia. Not the only reason. So yeah, they attracted talent. They were probably government was betting more into high-tech development, and they were also leading in terms of GDP per capita, and still leading today, I think much due to their technological advancement. But Lithuania is catching up.
And could you compare where you are now in Germany in terms of technological facilities compared to both Estonia and Lithuania?
It depends. Germany is very paper-based society. I think partially historically, partially due to fragmented the way how the country is organized. They are like states, and each state has some of their own regulations. So if you want to implement some reform, let's say technological reform, like having a shared database across all states, then you need to get the consensus. So it takes longer. But generally, Germans are very much used to paper, including the cash money. COVID pushed, just like other countries, much into switching to e-services, including government services. But I think Baltic countries, they are way ahead when it comes to electronic services, in particular government services.
It's I find it interesting because in my family tradition, I know nothing about 21st century Lithuania. I know a lot about 20th century and 19th century Lithuania. So to hear that, I'll tell you something funny. My brother decided to take a vacation to go to Lithuania.
Amazing.
And here's the funny thing. I said to him, what was your biggest surprise? And he said, emotionally, what I was not expecting, he said, the bright colors. There's colors everywhere. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, think back to all the hundreds of photographs our father showed us of his life in Lithuania, all black and white. And so I have seen a picture of the school my father attended. But the funny thing is that when my brother sent me a picture of that same building, which still looks the same, I also was shocked to see it was colored. So to me, Lithuania was in black and white colors, no colors, just black and white. So it was because of that.
Amazing. Yeah, I think also spiritually that has affected like what followed in 1990s, right? So spiritually black and white, and then probably these pictures also strengthen it with these memories. But yeah, I'm glad this changed the view, and they advanced. They advanced much. Is pretty well advanced European country and has been growing in GDP among first in Europe for quite a few years in a row.
And so if you're visiting Lithuania or Estonia or Latvia, your phone obviously works just fine.
Why not?
Yeah, right. And how about services like getting a car service or a taxi or something does Uber work there, things like that?
Oh, yeah, it does work. And as I mentioned, this Bolt, it's very similar to Uber. It's probably one of their main competitors. So they started in Estonia and they covered initially all Baltic countries, and then they expanded way beyond. We have Uber, we have Bolt and many other companies, but it's way easier to scale in these Baltic countries, and often they are seen as one single market. So if a multinational company wants to establish a foot in any of these countries, they usually cover all three countries. It's too small to just spend marketing and administration efforts into just setting in one country. That's why when you travel from one country to another, more or less you see the same chains, more or less you see the same services, you get the same services, because often they just cover all three countries at once.
Right. It's interesting to me because there are countries you can visit in Europe today which are not very up-to-date technologically.
Yes, they are. However, what's the irony is that often third world countries, they would be more, I wouldn't say more technological advanced, but they would have in certain fields better technologies. And African countries are as one of such examples, especially in mobile networks.
Because
the technology
skipped over the copper wire stage.
Exactly, yes. So the technology advances so much, while we are today in a 5G era. While other countries, they are still transitioning maybe from 3G to 4 and then to 5. They went ahead and installed 5G right away. Before that, they didn't have anything.
Very interesting. Now, jumping to current times, Renat, you have performed for me a service that is so huge that I can't even begin to describe. If I was paying you, I literally couldn't have paid you. This is a huge, huge thing you've created for me. Haven't told the folks yet what it is, but I'm going to in a moment. But what it does is make it easy and accessible for people who might previously have wanted to get deeper insight into ancient Jewish wisdom. They can do so much more easily now. And so, since I have not paid you the hundreds of thousands of dollars that this thing should have cost, it leaves me to ask the question, which I believe I know the answer to, but which our audience is going to be interested to hear. And that is, why did you do this?
For the background, I'm the product guy developing IT products. I've been doing this for quite a while. So first, the question why. I wanted to have access to your knowledge in a way as if I converse to you anytime of the day, whenever I need it. And well, as a family man, I have so many questions, and I have been growing spiritually, initially as an individual. Then when I got married, we started to follow your teachings already together as a wife and in a family, and you cover a lot of family relationships, but not only. We had so many questions like husband and wife relationships, children, relationships with parents, money, and so on. And I had so many questions, and well, one of the problems is that, there are often answers to these questions, but you have to look through all your material. That's your books, podcasts, Googling, which takes a lot of time. So as someone who has been developing software products, I thought, well, there might be an easier solution to get access to knowledge. Exactly the answer to the question that I have. I know that there is somewhere answer. You have an enormous amount of material published out there in different formats. And I know definitely there is this question answered, not a single time. But to dig into all your material, it takes quite a lot of amount of time. So, and back then, actually wasn't that long ago when I developed this, there was this technology, AI, which everyone is talking about getting popular, right? And it's still, and then I thought, okay, I'm interested in this technology. As someone who has been developing software products, I know that I can use the technology to solve people's problems or to provide to people's needs. And as you were teaching in somewhere out there that the best new product services, they are coming of mixing of something existent. So basically, my invention wasn't that much of invention. It was just taking an existing thing, that is your knowledge, coupled with AI, and as a result, creating an AI persona of you, whom I was able to ask anything I wanted, and the AI would answer in your style, using, of course, your knowledge, and it turned out to be a pretty great product. I like it myself, but we also asked other people, and they just confirmed.
I was skeptical, I found it hard to believe that this was going to actually work, but I find it very exciting. And I'm going to say something that sounds weird, but I'm expressing an emotion I have on this. In a way, that aspect of my teaching will live forever.
That's right.
And so what you've created is being called Rabbi Daniel Lapin AI. It is an artificial intelligence version of me, and it is right now being made available to special access happy warriors. Those of you who have joined into the special access part of our happy warrior community, and you are going to receive first shot at playing with this and using this. It's pretty extraordinary. Gosh, Renat, I wanted to ask you a technical question. I don't know if you have this number on the tip of your fingers, but approximately how many words of mine are packed into this?
As I remember, there are around 11 million words, which is equivalent to 140 average size books. That is all your material until a year ago. That's October 2024. Since then, you publish a lot of material, so probably this would add another like 1 million, 2 million more words. But there is a cutoff of the knowledge that has been fed to the AI.
Yes. So just so people should understand, I speak at approximately 100 words a minute. And so you see that, 50 podcasts a year over a number of years, and podcasts range anywhere from half an hour to 1.5 or 2 hours. You see this does begin to add up. And so to what extent is it capable of I sound as if I am utterly confused. And I'm not confused, but I am astounded. Here's my question. Would it be possible for it to come up occasionally with an answer that is not correct, nowhere near anything I would have said, but by putting together various things and maybe drawing an incorrect conclusion?
Yeah. There is a disclaimer that all AI, conversational AI products they put in. So AI can make mistake, double check, or just be aware of this at least. However, Rabbi Daniel Lapin AI has some clear instructions that to not speculate. If it doesn't find answer in its knowledge base, that it is said to say, well, I looked into all my knowledge base and I didn't find answer to this specific question, so I would rather stay silent. And often it comes with some proverb like silence usually is gold, things like that.
Yeah, right.
So to make it like more nice answer, it may make mistake, but this is taking into account that best to not do this and not speculate.
So it's been programmed
Yes.
to acknowledge ignorance rather than come up with something.
Yeah, I actually tried to make it to impersonate you as much as possible. So if I were to talk to you, and obviously as a human, you would at some of the questions say, I don't know, I don't have information right now. I just don't know. And I'm sure you just cut it off and say, I don't know. That's all, right? So same AI, I think it should not come up with answers which is not right. Yeah. So that's the whole point, to make as close as a real you possible in its style, how it converses, how it formulates the answers, and including saying, I don't know, I don't have the answer.
Which I often say.
I haven't heard that often, actually.
Because when I did talk radio and there were conversations with callers, it would sometimes happen. Somebody would ask me something I didn't expect to hear, and I would say, you know what, I'm going to take a few days to look into that and I'll come back to you. I do not know what the answer is. Somebody asked me a question 3 days ago about the observance of the Sabbath, because it turns out the late Charlie Kirk used to observe Sabbath in a Jewish style on Saturday, and I think. But at any rate, somebody asked me about that, and I realized that I'd never been asked that question before, and I did say, I don't know, but I'm very interested in it, and I'll get back to you. So it does happen. There's a famous book, and there have been several movies about Dr. Frankenstein, who created a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any point in here where you said, oh my goodness, what have I built here?
No, I don't think it's a monster. And I think, I think it has a real great potential of making a big impact. And I don't think that there is anything similar so far that would be an AI that impersonates a rabbi. Might be some GBTs which answer to Jewish questions, but a GBT would to try to impersonate as much as possible a single rabbi with specifically his knowledge and his style. I'm not aware of this. Perhaps it's there, but I don't think. And as you mentioned, it's perhaps making you immortal. We are all mortal people, and just like if you wanted today, if this technology existed and you wanted today, we were talking about Wilna, and you can mention about Wilna Gaon as the famous rabbi.
Great 18th century rabbi who, I mean, in the books behind me are his works, and I don't think a month goes by without me looking up something. But imagine if I could actually ask him a question.
Exactly. And you could talk to him, and not just in writing, but on at least a voice conversation to have, or ideally video conversation. So the technologies permit today, and we actually experimented a bit with cloning your voice and actually putting your voice into this Rabbi Daniel Lapin AI, and it turned out pretty well.
Yes.
So technologies permit even create your video image. So actually everything is in place. Maybe it's not perfect, but I believe in a matter of a couple of years, the technology will be so accurate, then basically generations forward could talk to you and have a similar conversation just like I do today, any time of the day and in any language, in their own language. So you don't speak all languages in the world, but the Rabbi Daniel Lapin AI speaks almost any language.
Renat, what would be an example of one of the most surprising moments in your work on this and in your testing of this? Was there any point at which you said, wow?
Yes, it was. Actually, I when I was making the first experiments, I did not expect it would be so good. I did not expect that it will so closely emulate you, but of course, I'm not you. Only you can judge how well does it simulate you. That's why I was eager to hear your feedback. What do you think about this?
It literally it blew me away, as they say. Every time I play with it, I am astounded.
Yeah, same was me. So knowing more or less your persona, your style, having listened, read a lot of your content and a lot of your material, I thought, it does pretty good job in emulating you, but still, you'll be the one to put the verdict. And yeah, and when you told me, oh, actually does a pretty good job and emulate, and one of the emails you wrote me, I read this answer, that was me, and you put 3 these exclamation marks. That was me in that answer. Yes.
One happy warrior who's been testing it said to me, I hate to say this, Rabbi, but it's better than you. I said, what do you mean? How can it be better than me? He said, it's very simple. Occasionally, when I ask you something, you say, I don't remember, I have to look that up. But Rabbi Daniel Lapin AI has never said, I don't remember. It remembers everything.
Exactly. Well, in certain aspects, as maybe not as pleasant as it might sound, it might be better. But of course, it will never replace a real conversation with you.
Well, it's nice of you to say that. But I'm not sure you believe that, and I'm not sure I believe that.
No, Rabbi, what it does, actually, it multiplies you by unlimited amount of times. That means everyone can have access to you today, any time of the day, in any language, thousands of years ahead from now. I mean, that's a great advantage, and that means your knowledge, your wisdom, and ancient Jewish wisdom can be now accessed by way more people in a format which is way easier accessible. And coming back to your question, why did I do this? So that was the whole purpose, like making your knowledge accessible in a conversational way whenever I need it.
I will tell her personally when we get a chance to meet. But in meantime, would you please tell your wife how much I appreciate her letting you take the hours and hours that you've invested in this thing?
Oh, she'll be happy to hear, because sometimes she sees me staring at this computer for hours, and she might not fully understand what I'm doing there, but I'll be happy to pass her. She, okay, that was a well time spent.
Please do. It's very, very exciting. And and again, for people who want to start using this, and I can't tell you, Renat, you don't know how many emails I get from happy warriors and other people who say, is there any way I could talk to you on the phone for half an hour? I have some important questions. And the answer is, just because of the realities of life, it's not possible. I don't have available these half-hour slots that I can, as much as I would love to do that. And now I can say that you can get 90+% of whatever my conversation with you might have yielded. You can get a whole lot of that right now if you head over to RabbiDanielLapin.com and start exploring the wonderful world of my artificial intelligence reality. There I am. And yes, it was eerie to hear my voice. When it synthesized my voice, I thought, wow, this is too much.
Let's take it step by step.
Step by step, for sure. What we have right now is absolutely fantastic. Renat, we'll talk some more, obviously, and I know we're going to work out a way to either meet in the United States or else in Germany, or maybe somewhere else in between, that we can coordinate our travels. But we will make that happen as soon as possible.
Very much looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, and thank you for sharing this, because I do want to post this and I do want to make this available for everybody to hear. But you and I obviously will continue our conversation. I'm always available to you, of course, as you know.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's my great pleasure again to be part of the show and of your mission of sharing ancient Jewish wisdom with the world.
Thank you so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure and a wonder collaborating on this. It's so much more than I imagined it could ever be. It's been it's life-changing. So until we talk next time, which I hope will be soon, I want to wish you a Shana Tova, a happy new year, and a year of good health and happiness for you and your family, and all the 5 key areas of your life.
Thank you,
Shalom
Rabbi.
to you.
Shana Tova and Shalom.